the Ben 10 sets, which I remember, but I didn't own any of them. I kind of want to get my hands on some of them. Hello, and welcome into a very special video. So I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the video, but the Galador video, if you've seen that, most of that was filmed quite a while ago, and so in between the Galador video being filmed and now, I have managed to get my hands on all of the Lego Ben 10 sets here. Um, so we'll be kind of looking over them, and I'll share my thoughts on the theme as a whole, how it went, and where it could go, I suppose. But so we've got here in front, we've got Humongosaur, and then Spider Monkey, Swamp Fire. Moving to the back, we've got Big Chill. Then we've got Jet Ray, and then last but not least is Chromastone. Now let's see. These were 2010 sets. And so growing up, I was actually like into Ben 10 as a kid. Obviously as I got older, I got less into Ben 10. And particularly as they kept making more and more series, it just kind of became hard to keep up with. But it's weird to me, right? Because like even at the time, I didn't have a whole lot of interest in these, and I would be interested to know, like looking back on it, if Cartoon Network had more say in the development of these sets, or if that was Lego, because I don't know, I could see it going either way. Um, we've got the construction element of it that I think is clearly Lego's part. Um, Lego, for sure, has been trying to push the construction line. And like the instructions for these, so I've got 4 of their instructions. They're really thin. I'm not sure if that's picking up on the camera. Yeah, it pretty much is. But yeah, they're really thin, and let's see. So about half the book, this half, is all advertisements, pretty much. I mean, you've got the parts list, but then you've got an ad for the other 5 sets, and then another ad for the other 5 sets, and then um, another ad featuring combiner models, which we're not really going to take a look at. I'm sure someone's done that out there, maybe, but they don't look that interesting to me, and I'm not really gonna take a look at those. Um, and then we've got another ad for the Ben 10 sets, as well as an ad for Bionicle, um, which is kind of interesting. Um, and then that's it. That's the end of the book. And so it's weird to me to see just how much advertisement was pushed, like even in just the instruction manual. Um, and it's weird because this is all they made. They only made these 6 sets. And it's weird because these aren't even, they're not Ben 10's original aliens. Like, these are all from I believe it was the second series, Ben 10 Alien Force. And so I don't know if that was a mandate from, like, Cartoon Network that, oh, you have to promote our new thing rather than our old successful thing. But I think it was a bad idea. Either way, I think you should have started with the original 10, the tried and true ones that, like, they knew sold. And it's also weird because, like, yeah, they're buildable action figures. Um, which, I mean, again, like, I'll bring up the point from the Galador video, but, like, you know, if I'm a small child and I just really love Solo, a Star Wars story, and, like, I really want a Han Solo action figure, I'm not gonna buy the Lego Han Solo action figure and, like, have to put it together and have it still look pretty crappy when I can get a regular action figure for cheaper that will probably look better. Um, and I mean, I think same went for these. Now, I never got into Ben 10 action figures at any point, but, like, I gotta imagine that they would have been, like, probably better than these, but I don't know. Then again, Cartoon Network kind of has a track record of having kind of crap toys, um, but, like, as far as action figures go, um, you've essentially got one character here, like, from the whole show, because they're all Ben 10, just in different alien forms, and, like, you don't even get 10 of them, which seems insane to me that you would launch a Ben 10 theme with 6 sets. And, like, there's no villain, um cuz, like, I took a look at Galador, right? And Galador, you've got Nick Bluetooth, and, like, you don't have a buildable Ben 10 here. Um or, like, Ben 10 in his human form. You don't have that. You don't have God, I forget the villains, but, like, you know, it's an action show. Like, he's got lots of, like, different villains. Like, because I think in Alien Force, I think Kevin 11 is, like, his friend. But, like, if you had based it on the original series, then, um, like, you could, like, Kevin 11 would have been a really cool one of these where you could, like, actually advertise that, he could do something kind of similar to glitching and that he takes on different abilities from different aliens, and, you could swap out his arms and stuff, um, like, even in Alien Force, he's still got, the squid guy, the Davy Jones space alien, guy, I forget the name of, and there's also, like, those knights that they fight against, and, I believe it's an Alien Force that, like, Gwen gets her powers, and so you could have had her be a figure, but for some reason they chose these 6, um, and again, it's one of the common traits of sort of, like, Lego short-lived weird themes is a lot of new parts, where pretty much every mold you see here is unique to the Ben 10 line, save for, the hands, on all of the figures except for Humongosaur. Humongosaur has unique hands, and I'm pretty sure that's it. I think maybe the feet on Humongosaur and Swampfire, those may have already existed. But, like, other than that, these are all unique parts, new molds, which seems weird. And, like, um, some of them I'm surprised didn't outlive the theme. Like, Swampfire here, ah! So, as I was saying, Swampfire over here, he's got these dark green and red different little attachments. And then behind him, and then Chromastone has these little, I believe that's dark magenta, or maybe just magenta. Um, but he's got these little prongs that they're their own piece. Um, they're like little like rubber pieces. Hope that you can see that. Uh, but like they never, they lived and died with this theme, um, which seems weird to me because like I feel like both of those are pretty useful. Um, Especially if we got them in different colors. I feel like those could have been really useful detailing pieces. Um, but like I don't know, they're all because I mean, like I mentioned, I've got 4 of the instructions for them. I didn't use any of the instructions. Um, the closest I came to using the instructions was looking at the picture. Because like that's pretty much all you have to do is just look at the picture. Um, and like you can figure out how it's supposed to go together pretty easily from just looking at the picture. Um, and yeah, and like so we'll take a look here at Chromastone in particular. So taking a bit of a closer look at Chromastone, um, I think he's probably the one out of all of them that translated the worst. Just because his head is like it's really weird. In that because they tried to capture the sort of blockiness. However, instead of like making a new body or like different arms or anything, it's just the head that's blocky, and it feels really weird. And like there's this big gap underneath his head, and so like the only way to really cover that is to have him like basically permanently looking down, um, which doesn't look that great either. Um, and like the face print, it should be the same color as those stones and the hands. It could be different on different models, but mine for sure is not the same color. Um, it's definitely a much darker color. Um, that's a little disappointing to see that that just wasn't there as far as the quality goes. Um, but like, yeah, I don't know. They're just like they're really. Oh no, I dropped one. Um, they're really basic. They all use the same back plate here. And there should be another one of those stones in that shoulder there. It just fell out just barely. Um, but I think across the theme, those bar holes on the spine, those never get used whatsoever. The bottom Technic axle that gets used, the center Technic axle that gets used, and then the two side Technic axles they get used. Um, but nothing ever came of those bar holes, which I really wonder if there was a Wave 2 designed um, that potentially used that. But I guess we'll never really know, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, so if we go ahead and we'll take a look at Humongosaur next. Um, which I mean, Humongosaur, like, there's not that much special about him. He's the only one to get unique hands, which I suppose is nice. And then he's got this weird rubber, neck attachment, to make his shoulders seem more broad. Which I suppose that's nice. It's also a little awkward though because you can even see here that if you lift his arms straight out, it begins to look really weird. Um, and he's got a tail on the back, which I suppose that's um, another mold that was not new to Ben 10. Um, it was relatively new around this time, but I don't think it was introduced with Ben 10. Um, but it still continues to see use today. Um, but so then we'll go ahead and sure, let's go with Spider Monkey. So Spider Monkey is probably the most unique out of them. Um, he does use the standard arms and legs, though he has an extra set. Um, his legs, however, do something that I don't believe, yeah, none of the other ones do, where, so the arms and legs are made up of the same two pieces, and on all the other figures, the the inner joint piece and the outer joint piece, those are the same color for the arms and the legs. Spider Monkey, for some reason, uses a different color um, for the inner leg joint than on the arm joints, which it's nice. I just, I don't know, it just kind of seems unique and special. Um, and you can see on the back there, he's the only one to use those extra two ball joints on the main torso piece there. But he's also got that tail. Um, and yeah, so moving on to let's do Jet Ray. So um, Jet Ray also gets some of those special detailing pieces. He's got four of these sort of little rubber um, detailing pieces. It's neat, I suppose. I'm not sure what color that is. Because it's not quite light aqua. And it's not aqua, because aqua was long discontinued. But it's a neat color. Um, but I mean, he's got the standard hands. He's got a unique head mold, which I suppose they all have unique head molds. And then turning him around, you can see that he actually gets some special wings. And so they're connected on the back side there, and they're just two of the same double wing mold. Um, and then while we're talking about winged characters, we'll go ahead and we will take a look here at Stingray. or not Stingray, Jet Ray, that's it. So taking a look here at Jet Ray, you can see, again, really, like, they're all pretty much the same figure with a new coat of paint. Maybe a couple unique parts, which I think is something that also did not help this line whatsoever, was the fact that, like, if you're a kid and you're buying a buildable action figure, presumably for the buildable experience, because otherwise you just buy a regular action figure. Well, if all 6 buildable action figures are pretty much the same process, then, like, it's weird, right? Like, there's no, like, it gets boring, it gets repetitive, and I'm sure that, like, helped in the downfall of this line. But, like, turning him around, you can see he's got this large rubber wing piece, as well as having a tail. But the wing piece, it's not great, because it's just connected into the Technic axles, and so you can't bring the arms too far, like, forward. Like, they can't touch, when you bring them forward, and, like, you can see that that piece in the middle there, even though that is a Technic axle that is connecting in there, because it's rubber, it sways, and so we'll put that back in, but, um, and it's not too great, and if you put the arms all the way back, it sort of folds out, and it makes it seem like, because I understand that, they were probably, like, stretched thin when it came to how to make this function work. I do kind of wish, looking at it, so you can see the connection to the arms is another Technic axle. I wish that was just a standard bar piece, because if it was a standard bar piece, you've got these bar holes in the torso that already aren't being used on Jet Ray, that you could, like, have them swing in and connect. It wouldn't be a perfect connection, um, but it would allow for greater mobility of the arm. Because, like, if you have it connected how they want it to, or how the instructions say it should be connected, then the arms really, they're not moving too far, and so, like, it's really hard and difficult to get them to move anywhere. But yeah, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at Swampfire. Last but certainly not least. So we already talked about the special detailing pieces on Swampfire here. And I'm a little partial to Swampfire just because, of course, sand green. It is kind of nice to have almost an entire, like, statuesque buildable figure done in that sand green color. But I mean, he's pretty much the most basic out of all of them. Um, it's like, just standard arms, legs, torso, and head. Other than the detailing pieces, he's pretty generic. And yeah, it's just, kind of the common theme with this theme. Um, so overall, um, Yeah, like it's interesting. And again, I'm kind of glad to have them. Just sort of as part of Lego history. Um, though they're really not that significant. Um, they're maybe a quarter page of like Lego's entire history. Um, Short lived. But yeah, I don't know. Just looking back on it, um, I know it would have required a lot of new molds, but I mean, this theme already had a lot of new molds, but like, I think Lego absolutely should have done Ben 10 as figure sets. Um, I really don't know why, for so long, Lego tried to push the Construction figure. Um, I guess it worked well with Bionicle, but just about every other instance, it seems not to work well. Um, and so I guess the only other exception would be mechs, if you count those, which I still kind of count those as figure sets because you still get a figure and it's still meant to be interacted with a figure. Um, Whereas these are just completely unique in their own system and not really meant to interact with figures. Um, but yeah, I don't know if Lego does still have the Ben 10 license, which I doubt it, but um, it would be cool to see figure sets. But and this because this could have really been for Lego. This could have been the start of like a huge partnership with Cartoon Network. And like they could have made a whole bunch of different like Lego themes. But I'm not sure if it was more Cartoon Network's decisions or Lego's decisions. But I mean, all around, it seems like poor decisions drove this theme to its early grave. Um, and yeah, luckily, I guess if you are interested in picking these up, they are all relatively cheap on Bricklink. Like they have not gone up significantly in value from their retail, and that was over a decade ago, almost 15 years ago, that these were made, if you can believe that. So yeah, so if you're interested in picking any of them up, you shouldn't have a hard time with that. But I think that's all for today. So hope you enjoyed the video, and bye bye.